As promised, this is the video that I am making for our last module, Module 7, Programming, Coding, and Game Development. This is, frankly, just plain fun. But it has rapidly become a focus for a lot of schools. Reasons are that this has become a focus in our country, that every kid should be able to code, is what you're hearing. I don't know about that. I know that I can teach coding in a huge array of different coding languages. The one we're going to play with today is called Scratch. I'm going to show you how to make a game. I'm going to show you where the exact directions that I'm using live, and all you have to do is basically get those directions. You can follow them step by step. What I would ask you to do is to please change the game enough that it looks like something you have done. I do not have a problem with you using the basic outline of the game, but change the characters enough, add a little bit in there, especially like you could add sounds, add something in there that makes the game your own. And then finally, I have in the section, in the module, a video that will show you how to take the game that you have created, get the embed code, and move it over to your wiki space. About as simple as it gets. There's one step you have to remember to do. Other than that, it's very simple. I'm going to pause every once in a while I'm recording, so don't let it throw you. It's not like something's gone wrong. I'm just dealing with other things here in the studio, and I want to make sure that we get everything right. So I'm in Module 7, Programming, Coding, and Game Development. When I click on that, I basically have just a couple of items here. The first one is called Our Code. The Our Code has taken off, and maybe you heard about it in your school. This is a very simple way to introduce kids to coding. And as you can see, the links that I've put in here for you, there's an Hour of Code homepage, and I think this one still is the Star Wars one. Let's look and see. Yeah, right here. This is the one that kids love to do. And it's just as simple as click, click, start. And what it will do is it will allow you to play the game. You can either do it in blocks, or you can do JavaScript, which of course your kids aren't going to know how to do. So I'm going to start with blocks. Thank you very much. And all you do in this game is it will walk you through everything that you need to do. And what's nice about it, although you can't hear it, I can. And I'm going to turn down my volume because it's loud. What you can't hear is the fact that it takes you right into the game and sets you up. So the first thing it says, we need that scrap metal BB-8. Can you get it? And what you have to do is you have to move things over to be able to go get it. So I'm going to say, okay. And it's asking me which way do I need to go. Well, here's the stuff that I need to go. It says add a second move right command to your code. Then click here to run it. Okay. I will find my move right, and I just drag it over. And then I will run. You see, it literally holds your hands while you do it. It's so wonderful that it's so intuitive, but at the same time, it's something that kids are really into. And of course, with the Star Wars latest one coming out, this will be hot, hot, hot. If you have any children of your own and you need to keep them occupied for a while, put them in here. I guarantee you, your kid will be lost for the next hour. All right, so that's our code. That is similar to Scratch because of the drag and drop blocks. That actually has a name. It's called Object-Oriented Programming Language, otherwise known as OOPS. And it makes creating super cinchy. Now down here, as you can see, there is an hour of code Minecraft, same thing. But let me get you to what you're going to be creating. This, programming with Scratch. So I'm going to open that up. And right here, print this out. Print this out. Because this will tell you exactly everything you need to do and the code you need to write to build yourself a game. All I'm asking you to do is to tweak the code so that it looks like your game. I have several videos here that will teach you how to do everything you want to do in Scratch. I have a link here that is another Scratch Game Design Basic, but all you need is this second one right here. And the other really cool thing about Scratch is in the Scratch community, people like to share their games and their code. And one of the things that I do with kids after I've taught them this is I let them explore that area. And you are allowed to take code from games that people have created, and you have a special place you can put it into your Scratch game design area so that if you want to use that code, you can. So this is how we get to Scratch. We're going to use the one that's located online. I find the one that you download and put on computers can be, well, first of all, it's kind of behind the times because they're always updating this one. And it can be a little buggy. But this one at MIT, I've never had any problems with it. The first thing you'll notice is there's an area for you to sign in, which I've already done. I would strongly recommend that you do the same thing. In fact, I would strongly recommend you let your kids do the same thing and create their own Scratch accounts. And I'll show you why in just a second. So here's the website at MIT. As you can see, you'll receive information, but see down here, you've got featured projects. And I will show you how to do this in a minute. You can go in and see the code and add it to your own. I'm going to go ahead and click on Create. When I do that, I'm basically given a palette over here of what my game is going to look like. And over here, this is where I add my code. And here are all the different code pieces. Take the time to look at that, and it'll start making sense to you. Your first tab up here that says Scripts, this is how you move things around inside your palette over here. And you have different ways of moving around. You can do motion, you can do looks, you can do sounds, which of course are located over here. So you can see that you can play a sound and then you can go find a sound. Here's your pen. Don't use this one very much, but you know, play. Here's data. Make a variable, make a list. This is the top level of learning Scratch. And then over here we have the events. The events and the control you're going to use a lot, especially this guy right here, forever. Events are, if you want to have it so when you press a certain key, it makes a certain thing happen. Sensing, this one is, again, higher level, but what it allows you to do is to have the game respond to the various inputs that you see here, mouse clicks, etc. Operators, you won't ever use it at this level, but this is a classic plus, math like, and then if-then statements, or statements, or and statements. This really gets interesting. Again, this would probably be mid-level in Scratch design. And then we have more blocks. In other words, you can make your own block. All right, so you get an idea what happens. The way you work it is up here, these flags and this stop sign. The flag represents you put your script over here, work, 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 work. And if you want to see how it's working, you click the flag. The stop sign, you can probably guess what that is. That does the stop. Alrighty, so I have in my hands the directions that I just told you to print out. And I'm going to kind of go through these rather quickly because you don't need me to sit here and read to you the directions. You can do that yourself. I just want to show you how easy this is to do and how incredibly fun. So the first thing you'll notice is we have a little kitty cat over here. Well, the reason why we have a kitty cat over here is because, as you well remember, you cannot have an empty space on the web. No such thing as a null set. The coolness is I can change the kitty cat very, very easily. Now notice when I click on him, he shows up down here. This is where you kind of put all your pieces that then the code acts upon. So I can go over here and I can click on costumes and I could change how my kitty cat looks. Well, okay, that's all right. If I want to do a new costume, I want to change something, I can go in here to the library, the costume library. Well, in this particular game, they're wanting you to use a shark. So I'm going to come over here and look for animals. And now you're starting to see what you can do. So I can use the shark. He's right down here. There's actually more than one kind of shark. And as you can see, now we're getting down here, there's more than one kind of fish that you'll be able to use. So see, here's our sharks. So here's our sort of, I don't know what you'd call him, maybe the slow shark. Here's the very aggressive shark that's going in for the kill. And here's the shark that is just sort of your standard shark. But also notice you've got an octopus up here. I've seen kids design games and they've replaced the shark sprite, which is what these are called, by the way. These little characters are all called sprites. I've seen them replace this, and then they basically put a code in that makes the octopus spin around like a buzzsaw, so that when he's floating through, there's more than one way that he can attack or be touched, and you don't want it to be. In other words, you're trying to be the fish to get away from all this. I've seen that. I've seen people do birds that are like, birds trying to capture the fish. You could change the fish. You could go from that to a dinosaur that's hunting other dinosaurs. The nice thing about it is, once you understand what the code is doing, it's very easy to swap in and out the characters. You don't have to change anything in the code. All you do is you change out the character, the sprite, and the code basically says, oh, you're going to use that guy now. Fine. So it's very simple to do. Now I'm going to go ahead and follow. I've also seen people use, they called it the killer starfish. Again, same idea. They had him spinning through. And I've seen lots of kids use these penguins as well. I'm going to go ahead and pick my shark. He now becomes my sprite. See how easy that was? I now have a shark sprite. I like to clean up as I go. So as you can see, I'm getting rid of all the other things that I had back there. And now we're ready to try a background. Now this gets into personal preference on game design. What some people like to do at this point is they want to jump right back in to getting the sprites that they're going to use in the game, and they go ahead and get them all put in here. I kind of come from the background of I'm going to add my backdrop in here now, my background, and that's located down here. So I'm going to click on that, and what it's going to do is it's going to show me all the different ways that I can have a backdrop, all the different backdrops that are available to me. Again, notice how many of these you have that can be just about have a game anywhere you want. You can have a game in space. You can have a game, you name it. You can find a background for it. We're starting with our fish here. So I'm going to select the underwater background. Now the next thing you want to make sure you do before you even pick the background is to come up here and give your game a name. I'm going to call mine Shark, and I'm going to save it. Because if I don't give it a name and save it, then actually what will happen is it'll pop up and it'll say, hey, you need to have this saved, which is great because you can't lose anything. I'm going to come down here to backgrounds again. And now that I've done that, all my backgrounds show up. I'm going to go to underwater. Take your time and look at this. Because again, you can create just about anything you want. I've seen lots of sports games created. And space, A lot of kids, though, love to play with these different themes. A lot of kids want to create a game that they saw and played. You can create your own Frogger game, where you have to cross a busy street. All kinds of things. Anyway, I'm going to go for the underwater, and I'm going to go for the classic underwater. And there we are. Now my shark is in a place. I can move him around on the screen. You'll notice that I'm given more than one choice here. And what's nice about this is I can change how my shark interacts with my code. But now we are ready to get down to it. So now we are looking at using script. Now, the thing about scripts is that all of your controls are right here. In your directions, it goes through teaching you how to make the shark follow your mouse. And I'm going to let you discover that. I just want to talk to you about the bigger picture of how things work here. So as you can see right here, I have a block of code called move so many paces. If we make that 20, and then at the end of it, we wanted to turn so many degrees. Now you'll notice I keep clicking on things here because everything in these blocks is editable. I can pull things in and have them change any way that I want in terms of the number of moves I make. By the way, these are your pixels. And then this, of course, is obviously degrees. Now, to control everything, I'm going to come over here. And what I'm going to do for right now, just to show you how it works, is I'm going to put in a control called forever. Now that basically means that I want my shark just to do this over and over and over and over again. Now, there's a problem with it. Well, let me show you what the problem is. What will happen is he will just keep doing that. Do you see it? He's just spinning in a circle. Now you're kind of seeing how the kids did the buzzsaw look with the starfish, etc. I'll go ahead and stop that. So what would I have to do to get him to move a little bit faster? And why is he moving so quickly? Maybe I don't want him to turn, and so all I do is grab that piece and I take it out. Now let's see what happens if we have him go forever moving 20 pixels. And as you can see, he just goes off the screen. Well, what if I want him to come back and keep bouncing back into the game? Again, I go and find a piece of code called if at edge bounce. Now, if I put that into my forever, what it says is, what it's going to do is every time he moves the 20 forever and he hits the edge, he's going to bounce back into the game. You notice I'm hitting the green flag. That's kind of like, hey, we're ready to go. And then I go over here and I hit the little code block. Oh. Now I have the ability to have my guy move around in a certain way. If I want to get that crazy kind of buzzsaw look, I could drag in another piece of code into my forever. Again, tell it that we're ready, and now I'm going to play it. Now I've got something even more interesting. So not only does my shark now swim around underwater, he does it in a way that means he's all over the game. I think you're starting to see things here. Now, as I said, in the directions that are in here, and I'm not going to go through the directions step by step, because they're very simple to follow, and they tell you where to get the code. It even shows you what it looks like, so it's easy for you to do. But I want to introduce the last piece of it. I need to add something into my scenario here. So I'm going to go back to that sprite, and now I'm looking for a animal, a fish if you will, that will be in my game. So here I have a fish, and the nice thing about it is you can right click on these sprites and then you can duplicate them. So now you have two fish. The other thing that you can do is you can change the sizes of them. So you can change the size of any of your sprites just by clicking on them. Notice down here in your resource area, you can tell which one you have selected. You really can't tell up here in the game. It's not like there's a little box that appears. But down here, the box appears around what you selected. Up here are your ways to make things bigger, smaller. Let's shrink him. So I click on the shrink, then I come to what I want to shrink, and I just keep clicking on it to however big I want it to be. I can come down here, pick my other guy, I get the shrink again, and I can come into here, and I can shrink them down. I can click on the shark, and I can come down here and I can click on him to make him even bigger. Goodness gracious, if we made him bigger, let's see what happens now when we run it. Hit the green arrow, hit your code. As you can see, he really fills up the screen. So if I'm going to continue on with my game, and I'm going to be playing with trying to move these guys around in here without the shark attacking him, it's going to be kind of hard. I'm going to stop at this point because, as I keep saying, I know you're probably getting sick of me here. The coding sequences are here in these directions, and all you got to do is just copy them. So I want to show you though what do we do when we get to the end. So I've created this game, and it saves it automatically. I don't have to do anything, but I have to make sure that when I'm ready to, I can get it out of here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So now we build all of our code over here. What do we do with it when we're finished? And we click on it, we watch it, it's hilarious, we enjoy it, but then what do we do with it? Easy. You go up to File, Save as a copy. Make sure, of course, that you've had that name up here so it knows what it's called and you can find it. Then I'm going to go to my stuff. And as you can see, I've been sitting here playing earlier, so I actually had it saved once already. So I'll go ahead and pick this one. And now I'm ready. I have a game that I have created. I want to fill in the instructions if folks need to know. I can put in notes and credits, and I can add tags. But here's what we want to do. We want you to share it. So I'm going to click on the share button. And then look how easy it gets. Click on the embed button. There's my code. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the code. And I think you know the rest. So if we go to Wikispaces, and we log into the Wikispace, you have created a page, as it says in the directions to the module. You've created a page in there that's called Scratch Games. I'm going to go ahead and make one right now. And at this point, it's old hat to you. You go to Widget, Other HTML, paste in the code, save it, you get the box, save it again. Bada bing, bada boom, there's your game. Click the green flag, and it now plays. It actually becomes a part of your Wikispace, but it's a live game sitting here. I find this really, really cool that kids can go out and create their own, and then we can take it and put it somewhere that we want it to live. It's just that simple. I know I haven't gone through this as deep as these directions that I have in here go. I will tell you, let me go and show you the document that I have been working from. This is a document right here. As you can see, it's just step by step by step by step. Now it jumps right into having the mouse be the controller of the shark. So you can control the shark swimming around, as opposed to the way that I was doing it, where I was going to be able to control the fishies swimming around, trying to get away from him. Notice all the scripting is here for you. All you're doing is just copy it. But roll all the way to the end, and oh, so now you have an entire new game here that it will play, and all you have to do is just copy and put it in. Now let me jump back in and we'll finish up. One of the really interesting things about how this works is you have the ability, when you're in a project, to go and find other projects. And when you do that, you can copy the code because it's allowed. And all you do is click on that See Inside. Whoops, this one doesn't have any code. But you can come over here and you can see what's inside here, and you can just literally copy that code out and then paste it into your project. It also has a little place down here at the bottom, which is hard for you to see because my Screencast-O-Matic is basically blocking it. But it's called the backpack. And what you can do in the backpack is you can, I'm going to slide it up so you can see it. In the backpack area down here, this is where you can keep code. And as you see, I have some. And I can drag that in. And now I have code that I have taken from another game and I have put it in here. That easy, guys. Delete that out. And I can see what this code does. That's what I love about it. Everything you do and everything the kids do, they can see. It is a great way to teach kids how to think, how to use the idea of try. If it doesn't work, try something else. It's a marvelous tool. I also have used it to teach kids about math, because you could probably already see that. I'm going to show you, you can make quiz games. Let me show you some examples here. So these were games that kids created for a class that we did. And as you can see, we have all of the various scripts that they wrote are in here. Let you see it. And if you want to use these, again, this is even easier following this particular examples. They are located down here where it says Scratch at STLP Camp. Here is Scratch Design Basics that will walk you through very simply the ideas behind building a game. But, as I keep saying, all you really need to do is print this out and follow it. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages long. And most of those pages are taken up with pictures, like we've already shown you. So, I will be there Monday. If you want to pop in and have a visit and ask any more questions, I am deliberately not doing this as a step by step because I want you to meddle and muddle through it. I want you to kind of struggle a little bit and work with it, play with it, change some of the elements in it. I mean, you can change the colors, you can change how they look, you can change anything you want, because I think the best way to learn is to have an idea of what you're doing, and then you explore and you experiment. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving week. I will see you the following Monday. We will be finishing up by taking our final together. The final is already there. Nothing's hidden. If you want to go ahead and do the final, you go right ahead and do the final. I haven't gotten the grade alert from the registrar yet, but as soon as I do, I'll start going in and scoring. I have already looked at the live text, and I can assure you that there isn't anyone who has a problem. If you need help, if you need more time, you just need to let me know. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you the following Monday.